Most men spend their whole lives chasing women, thinking attraction is something they have to earn through effort, money, or looks. But here's the truth: real attraction doesn't start with effort. It starts with energy. The kind of energy you carry when you stop trying to impress women altogether. That might sound strange, even controversial, but stay with me, because the truth is, women don't fall for the guy who's always chasing. They fall for the guy who's completely at ease with himself. The man who doesn't need attention, doesn't need validation, and doesn't need her, but still chooses to engage with her confidently. That's what women find magnetic. You've probably noticed it before. A guy walks into a room, says almost nothing, but somehow everyone feels his presence. Women glance his way, not because he's loud or showing off, but because he radiates self-assurance. That's the essence of attracting without trying. It's not about acting cool or playing games. It's about mastering how you move, speak, and exist, with calm confidence. In today's dating world, men are told to do too much. Say this, text that, be this kind of guy. And the more you try to follow all those rules, the less natural you become, and the more women sense that something's off. The truth is, attraction happens naturally when you remove effort, not when you force it. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to do that, how to attract any woman without even trying. Because once you understand what really draws women in, you stop chasing attention and start commanding it. Welcome to the channel. If you're ready to learn how to make women feel drawn to you effortlessly, not because you're performing, but because you're finally being real, this one's for you. 1. Stop chasing. Start choosing. Here's the biggest mistake most men make. They chase women like it's a competition they need to win. They text too much, try too hard, and overthink every move, believing that the more effort they put in, the more she'll see their value. But that's not how attraction works. Women don't fall for effort. They fall for energy. When you chase a woman, what you're really doing, without realizing it, is telling her that she's the prize, and you're trying to earn her approval. You may not say it directly, but your actions communicate it loud and clear. The problem is, women are wired to be drawn to men who lead, not follow. So when you're chasing, you reverse the dynamic. You stop being the man she's drawn to and instead become the man she tolerates. Think about it. The men women are obsessed with never seem desperate for attention. They're selective. They decide who gets their time. They carry the mindset of, I'm not here to prove myself. I'm here to see if you fit into my world. That's the difference between chasing and choosing. The moment you shift from trying to win her over to evaluating whether she aligns with your standards, everything changes. You start moving differently. You stop overanalyzing texts. You stop waiting on her replies. You become more focused on your own path, your purpose, your goals, your discipline. And when a man starts living this way, women can feel it. There's something deeply attractive about a man who doesn't seek validation from a woman, because it shows that he already validates himself. That energy of independence, calm confidence, and control is rare, and women sense it instantly. Here's the twist. When you stop chasing, women start chasing you. Not because you're playing games, but because you've reclaimed your power. You've stopped behaving like every other man who tries to earn her interest, and that alone makes you stand out. So how do you start choosing instead of chasing? You stop reaching out first all the time. You don't explain yourself or justify your silence. You spend more time doing what fulfills you. And you let her wonder where she stands with you. This shift puts you back in the position of strength. Women are instinctively drawn to men they can't completely predict or control, because uncertainty creates curiosity, and curiosity fuels attraction. When you stop chasing women and start choosing who deserves your energy, you move from seeking approval to commanding respect. And that's when attraction starts to happen effortlessly. 2. Silence is more powerful than you think. Most men underestimate the power of silence. They think that by constantly staying in touch, explaining themselves, or keeping the conversation going, they're maintaining her interest. But the truth is, silence, when used correctly, is one of the most powerful attraction tools a man can ever use. When a man knows how to stay silent, it communicates control, mystery, and confidence. Women are emotional communicators by nature. They use words to connect, to test, and to draw reactions. So when you don't feed into that, when you can stay calm and quiet instead of reacting. She feels something she can't quite explain. Intrigue, silence makes a woman think. And that's exactly where attraction starts, in her mind. When you pull back and say less, she starts replaying her last conversation with you. She starts wondering if she said something wrong. She starts thinking about why you haven't texted, why you're so composed, and why you don't seem affected. And the more she thinks, the more emotionally invested she becomes, because her brain is trying to solve the mystery of you. Now, let's be clear, silence doesn't mean ignoring her out of ego or playing cold games. It means mastering emotional discipline. It's about knowing when to not respond to things that don't deserve your energy. For example, if she pulls away, tests you, or goes distant, most men panic. They start over-texting, asking what's wrong, or trying to fix it. That's emotional weakness. A man who understands the power of silence reacts differently. He doesn't chase answers. He doesn't fill the space with nervous words. He allows her to feel the distance, because that distance teaches her what it's like to lose your presence. Here's what women won't admit: silence from a man who was once consistent hits differently. It makes her feel that shift in energy, and she starts to value the attention she once took for granted. It reminds her that your energy isn't guaranteed, it's earned. 3. Confidence that doesn't need to be proven. Real confidence doesn't shout. It doesn't need validation, and it doesn't try to prove anything. The most magnetic men are those who carry quiet confidence, the kind that's felt, not performed. And that's exactly the kind of confidence that attracts women without even trying. Most men misunderstand confidence. They think it's about being loud, dominant, or overly expressive. They believe they need to constantly talk themselves up, show off achievements, or remind women of their worth. But that's not confidence, that's insecurity wearing a costume. True confidence comes from being unmoved by outcomes. It's the mindset that says, if she likes me, great. If she doesn't, that's fine too. That kind of attitude shifts everything: your tone, your presence, your energy. You stop seeking approval and start moving from a place of self-assurance. And women feel that difference immediately. A man with quiet confidence doesn't chase validation because he already knows his value. He's not competing for attention, he's simply being himself. He can compliment a woman without expecting something in return. He can walk away from a conversation that doesn't feel right. He can be around beautiful women without acting impressed. That calm, composed energy tells her one thing: you're not desperate for her approval. You see, confidence is not something you tell people you have, it's something they sense in how you carry yourself. The way you speak, the way you pause, the way you look someone in the eyes without needing to fill silence, it all communicates your inner state. And women are deeply attuned to that. Here's the truth most men overlook: women are drawn to emotional strength. It's not about muscles, money, or status, it's about stability. A man who doesn't crumble under pressure or react emotionally to rejection instantly stands out. Why? Because most men do the opposite. They become defensive, over-explain, or try to win her back when they feel unwanted. But a man who can handle rejection with grace, who can smile, stay calm, and move on, shows that he's in control of himself. That's powerful. That's rare. 4. The energy of detachment. There's something magnetic about a man who's not easily moved. A man who can stay centered, calm, and emotionally grounded no matter what a woman does. That's what's called the energy of detachment. And it's one of the biggest secrets to attracting women effortlessly. Now, let's be clear, detachment doesn't mean not caring or being cold. It means you've learned how to care without losing yourself. It's the ability to be fully present with a woman, but still know that your happiness doesn't depend on her. That energy changes everything about how she sees you. When a man is detached, he gives off a subtle strength, a quiet power that says, I want you, but I don't need you. And women feel that difference immediately. They can sense when a man's interest is rooted in confidence versus when it's rooted in desperation. Most men make the mistake of attaching too quickly. They meet a woman they like, and suddenly she becomes their whole focus. Their mood depends on her responses. Their confidence fluctuates with her attention. Without realizing it, they've handed her all their emotional control. And once that happens, the attraction begins to fade, not because she doesn't like him, but because the dynamic becomes unbalanced. Detachment restores that balance. It tells her that your world doesn't collapse if she pulls away. That's attractive because it signals emotional security. Women are drawn to men who are emotionally independent, men who have their own lives, their own rhythm, their own peace. When you're detached, you naturally become more mysterious. You're not always available. You're not rushing to respond. You're not trying to impress. Instead, you're simply living your life, and that makes her want to be part of it. The less she feels she can fully read you, the more she wants to figure you out. 5. The magnetic power of self-focus. There's one thing that makes any man instantly more attractive without even trying, and that's being deeply focused on himself. Not in a selfish way, but in a self-respecting, self-building way. Because when a man's energy is directed toward his growth, his purpose, and his improvement, he naturally becomes magnetic to women. You've probably noticed this before, the man who seems to have options, who doesn't chase, who always seems calm and in control. Women don't just notice him because he's good-looking or charming. It's because his focus is on himself, not on getting validation. He's busy building something, his body, his career, his mindset. And that focus creates an aura of direction, discipline, and confidence. Women are drawn to that. Not because they want to be his project, but because they want to join his momentum. The truth is, a man who's grounded in self-focus doesn't need to convince anyone of his worth. It shows in how he carries himself. Picture this: 2 men are in a room. One is constantly trying to start conversations, trying to be noticed, checking his phone, trying to keep everyone's attention. The other man is quietly focused, confident posture, calm expression, observing more than talking. Guess which one women are more curious about? The quiet one. Why? Because his energy is directed inward, not scattered outward. He's not trying to get attention. He naturally commands it. That's the power of self-focus. The more energy you pour into yourself, the more people, especially women, start noticing. It's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. When your life has direction, your energy feels different. You move differently, speak differently, and your presence changes. Here's something a lot of men overlook. Women can sense when a man's life revolves around them. It feels heavy, needy, and unbalanced. But when a man's life revolves around himself, his goals, his peace, his vision, that energy feels light, confident, and steady. That's what makes women want to be part of it. You see, attraction isn't something you chase. It's something you build through self-respect. When you're improving your fitness, mastering your craft, learning new things, and staying consistent, you're silently telling the world that you're a man of value. You don't need to announce it. It shows. 6. Unpredictability creates desire. If there's one thing that keeps a woman hooked, it's unpredictability. Not in a toxic or inconsistent way, but in the sense that she can't fully read you. When a man becomes too predictable, too easy to figure out, attraction fades. But when she can't quite anticipate what you'll do next, she stays emotionally engaged. Here's why. Women are emotional creatures, and emotion thrives on uncertainty. Predictability kills excitement because it gives her nothing new to think about. When she already knows you'll text back immediately, say yes to everything, and always be available, the mystery disappears. And with it, the desire. Unpredictability, when done right, doesn't mean playing games. It means you live your life in a way that she's never fully sure what's coming next. Sometimes you're available, sometimes you're busy. Sometimes you're playful, sometimes calm and focused. That variation keeps her guessing, and guessing keeps her invested. When a woman can't fully label or control you, she starts to chase clarity. She wants to understand you. She starts thinking about why you didn't reply right away, why you seemed more focused this week, why you suddenly didn't engage with her teasing. All of that creates emotional stimulation, and that's what fuels attraction, but most men do the opposite. They try to win her by being overly consistent, replying instantly, always agreeing, always available. While reliability is good in relationships, too much predictability too soon removes the spark before it even starts. Women respect consistency, but they're excited by curiosity. Think of it like this: the men women talk about the most are the ones they can't quite figure out. The ones who are emotionally stable but not transparent in every move. The ones who don't show all their cards. That's because unpredictability makes her feel. And feelings are what build connection. Here's the key: unpredictability only works when it comes from genuine independence, not manipulation. You're not trying to confuse her, you're just living your life, not revolving around hers. You're naturally busy with your goals, your time is limited, and your mood isn't defined by her attention. That's the kind of unpredictability that feels real, not forced. For example, you might go quiet for a few days because you're working on something important. Then when you reappear, you're calm, centered, and focused. She can feel that shift. That kind of energy makes her lean in instead of pull away. So stop being the guy who's always easy to predict. Be steady but not robotic. Be grounded but not overly available. Keep a little mystery alive, not because you're playing games, but because you're too focused on life to constantly explain yourself. Unpredictability makes her wonder. And once she's wondering about you, she's already emotionally involved. 7. Own your standards. Don't settle for validation. Here's a truth most men never realize until it's too late. The moment you start lowering your standards just to gain a woman's approval, you lose her respect, and eventually, her attraction. Women might not always say it out loud, but they deeply respect men who have standards and stick to them, no matter who's in front of them. Owning your standards means you know what you want, and what you won't tolerate. It's about having a clear sense of who you are and refusing to compromise your values just to keep someone around. That kind of conviction is rare, and women can sense it instantly. When a man carries himself like that, it sends a powerful message: I'm not here to be chosen, I'm here to choose. Most men do the opposite. They bend. They agree to things that don't feel right. They allow disrespectful behavior because they're afraid of losing her. They say yes when they want to say no, just to seem easygoing. But here's the truth: every time you do that, you teach her that your boundaries are negotiable. And once she sees that, the dynamic changes. She no longer sees you as the leader, she sees you as the follower. Attraction isn't built on people-pleasing. It's built on respect. And respect only exists when you're willing to walk away from what doesn't align with your standards. That doesn't mean being arrogant or cold, it means being grounded enough to say, I know my worth, and I'm not afraid to lose something that doesn't value it. Here's the thing: women are drawn to men who don't chase validation. A man who can stay calm in the face of rejection, who doesn't argue for his worth, who can smile and move on, that's power. Because he's not seeking approval, he's living his truth. If you ever feel like you're constantly trying to prove yourself to a woman, stop and ask, what am I doing this for, respect or validation? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. Validation is temporary, it gives you a quick hit of attention but leaves you weaker afterward. Respect lasts, it builds attraction, even in silence. Owning your standards also means knowing what kind of energy you allow into your life. You stop entertaining mixed signals, disrespect, or emotional games. You stop giving endless chances. You value peace over drama. And ironically, that's when women start respecting you more, because you've shown you can control yourself. Here's something most men never stop to think about: the less you try to attract women, the more you actually do. Why? Because women aren't drawn to effort, they're drawn to energy. And the energy of a man who's calm, focused, confident, and detached is magnetic in ways words can't explain. You don't have to chase. You don't have to prove. You don't have to beg for attention. When you shift your focus back to yourself, your peace, your purpose, your power, women start noticing. They sense that you're not trying to get something from them. You're not needy, desperate, or seeking validation. You're already complete. Here's the controversial truth: women are far more attracted to men who don't need them than to those who do everything to keep them. It's not arrogance, it's emotional independence. When you move through life with quiet confidence, self-control, and purpose, you naturally stand out in a world full of men trying too hard. So take this as your reminder: stop performing for attention. Start building your value. Focus on becoming the man you'd admire. Because when you do, attraction won't be something you chase, it'll be something you radiate. Now I want to hear from you. Which part of this video hit you the hardest? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading and responding because these conversations matter. Remember, the goal isn't to make women want you. It's to become the kind of man who doesn't need to try. That's real power.